I want to talk about NVIDIA. If you're not familiar, NVIDIA is a massive tech company. I think they're the biggest company in the world at this point. Could be wrong on that, but I think they're the highest valued company in the world. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, it's like they're worth a hell of a lot of money. They're a big player in the tech world, in the AI world. And there's this article that came out recently that says government and NVIDIA sign a memorandum to promote AI training, innovation, and research. That government being the Dominican government. And so the deal with this is the things that we're wondering about are like, what does it mean? And there are two camps on this. And I'm going to show you where I sit in a moment here. But there are two camps. There's a camp that's like, oh my God, massive step forward for the Dominican Republic. And there's a camp that says this is just more corporate, what's the word? Like corporate, they're going to create low dollar employees while they rake in corporate profits. They're just pillaging the Dominican Republic. I think both things can be somewhat true, but I think more than anything, for me, this is a net positive for the country. And I honestly think it will end up or can end up being a massive net positive for the country. Let's agree on a couple of things. There's always going to be haves and have-nots in any society. I love the idea of socialism, but it's never ever been it's never worked. It's never worked. Like the problem with the idea of like everybody gets an equal share, everybody gets opportunity from it is that there's human ambition involved, and human ambition ebbs and flows. I met a guy the other day at the mall. He's he's a Dominican guy, grew up here, like extreme poverty in like Atomayor, like in the middle of nowhere in the 70s, like no running water, no electricity, kill what you eat. No kidding. At 5 years old, because he wanted just to eat, this guy had to learn how to trade chickens and stuff like that just to be able to eat for his family. He was literally providing for his family in part at 5 years old. That's what he had to do in the 70s. Today, he's a surgeon. He owns millions of dollars in real estate here in the Dominican Republic as well as back in the United States. He's a retired surgeon. But this guy went from nothing to everything. I've seen so many of those stories that's not an anomaly, human ambition. I've also seen many stories where somebody starts out at sort of the top of the escalator of life, and they tumble all the way back down. I don't know why I saw this guy the other day, Todd Marinovich, if you guys know who that is, like former quarterback in the NFL, but he was born into a really good household, but his father, it seems like, really pushed him on football, and this kid just slipped and slid down, multiple arrests, struggled with addiction his entire life, like started higher on the escalator of life, but fell down. So human ambition is a variable that you can't control for, if you will, when you want everything to be fair. So let's just agree that there will be haves and there will be have-nots no matter what happens. I want to also agree, and this might be a bit controversial, that what is a low-wage job to you or I is a good job to many that are quote-unquote middle class in the Dominican Republic. There's a big narrative out there about, these people only make X per hour or X per month, and we equate that to dollars, when still the word 1,000 in any currency is a lot. 1,000 pesos is like hearing $1,000 to a Dominican. Does that make sense? Like, we see the conversion, I see the conversion. So when it's like, oh, it's just 1,000 pesos, it's like $18, right, US. But for a Dominican, 1,000 is still a lot. As the country dollarizes, maybe that changes, but that's still, we have to understand what middle class is, and that is just different here than it is in the United States. And honestly, it's more like here in most countries in the world than it is the United States. So those are a couple things I just want to agree on. But here's the four things that I see that NVIDIA is saying is going to, that this agreement, this memorandum of understanding, this is not a contract, this isn't signed into stone, this isn't something that's definitive yet, but it is a memorandum of understanding between NVIDIA and the Dominican government, NVIDIA being a huge global leader in AI, and the elements of the agreement are 4 parts. And I'm going to go through each of them and then tell you what I think, and I want to hear what you think. That's what the point of a live is. Drop it in the comments as you hear each of these. The first of them is promotion of technological and data sovereignty through local hosting of AI models and infrastructure. So promotion of technological and data sovereignty through local hosting of AI models and infrastructure. As I read into that more, just to understand that fully, essentially what that means is the best way I could put it. Like the DR needs to rely upon the world for oil because it doesn't produce its own, It would be amazing if the DR could be energy independent. It could have its own energy source, maybe off fossil fuels, maybe mining for fossil fuels, I don't know. This is saying, hey, from an AI and data perspective, this deal allows the Dominican Republic to own its own, to have its own internal within the country without having to rely on the external. So this deal does that. Again, I think that's a good thing for the country. Now, I'm going to add on a little aside before I go through these other 3 bullets. I think, let me see, yeah. A little aside that maybe you did, maybe you didn't hear about. In this vein, there's an AI product that was introduced here called Maria. Did anybody hear of this AI product called Maria? Just drop in the chat if you've heard about this. Maria. It was introduced by 2 very controversial characters. First guy, his name is Yoki Gomez, or Gomez. No. Yoki Gomez. He is a Dominican. He has had a lot of noise around him in the past. The other guy is a guy that maybe you heard of, maybe you haven't. His name is Roger Stone. If you go to Netflix, you can watch a documentary called Get Me Roger Stone. Roger Stone is a very controversial, very polarizing political operative in the United States, centered on the Republican or conservative side of things. From Nixon through Trump, Roger Stone is the dirty tricks behind every administration. Per him, dirty but legal, but he has been convicted of some stuff. So these 2 characters have introduced a technology, an AI technology called Maria. Nobody's heard of this, or are you guys just delayed on the feed? Let me know if you've heard of Maria, an AI technology. I see Doug from Santiago. Good to see you, Doug. Vineland, New Jersey, or Vineland, New Jersey for Mr. Jersey. Queens, New York for Albert Jimenez. Hello for the love of bags. Homestead, Florida, driving on MS. Is that Mississippi? Hello, Elvin. Oh, Elvin, good to see you. Hello, Mr. Joe R. off DR. Joe R. off DR. I don't know what that means. Que lo que, mi gringo from Long Island. Good to see you. Haven't heard of it. All right, so Iglesias, JM, Alexander, Calderon. So what Maria is, essentially, is an AI-based technology that would, if it's utilized effectively, would eliminate corruption in the Dominican government. It's essentially, imagine like plugging in an AI to all government databases, all government everything. And from that, you are able to determine like, wait, where'd that money go? Why'd that money go there? What's going on here? Like imagine that it could literally in probably days, maybe hours, completely expose a lot of different things. Roger Stone and Yoki Gomez have made a push for this. Yoki Gomez is even divested from anything he's involved in that has government contracts. Like he is apparently wanting to be completely independent on this. And it has, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It has a lot of potential. Imagine an AI that could plug into any government, the US, Dominican, and just like, hey, here's the set of rules. Are they being followed? Here's all the regulations and the laws and the rules. Here's where the money's supposed to go. Here's how taxes are being spent. Is it all being done legitimately? Now, the challenge is, in order for you to implement that, you better be squeaky, squeaky clean as the executive, whether that's Abinader, Trump, you name it. I mean, even me, any of us, it would scare the hell out of me. Like, I think I've done everything the right way. What is this AI going to find that says, oh, maybe not, and then what's that going to blow up to in the media and everything else? So it could absolutely clean things up, but it could also expose too many powerful people. So we'll see if it gets any traction. But back to the NVIDIA deal, data sovereignty through local hosting of AI models and infrastructure. Those 2 stories, I think, go hand in hand. All right, the second thing that the NVIDIA deal does is the development of a national AI talent initiative like the Deep Learning Institute and a future AI Academy. Like, I'm going to pause on this one. Although there's another one like this. Let me read the third one. Launch of AI training programs in partnership with Infotep, followed by other public and private institutions starting in 2026. And I'll read the fourth one because I think these last 3 bullets are really relevant to a point I want to make here. Establishment of a center of excellence in artificial intelligence, the first of its kind in Central America and the Caribbean, serving as a hub for research, education, and innovation accessible to students, professionals, entrepreneurs, and tourists. So AI training programs, a national AI talent initiative like the Deep Learning Institute and a future AI Academy, and the establishment of a center for excellence in artificial intelligence, the only one, or the first of its kind in Central America and the Caribbean. This is why, to me, this is significant. You are Joe Rogan off DR your best. I appreciate that, Luis, I think. Here's why this is really interesting to me. It does, Doug. It does sound a little scary. Maria sounds a little bit scary. I think, let's go into a deeper conversation. I think, and well, I know, I'm fairly certain, and many of you may agree with this, many of you may not, that artificial intelligence is about to change the world. And it's going to change the world soon. We're talking 2-3 years for massive change. It's already changing the world. But we're talking 2-3 years before you start to see replacement of jobs, before you start to see shifts in the economy, before you start to see the innovation we don't even know that is possible yet. Meaning, with any technological boom, .com, the industrial revolution, you name it. With any of these, there are roles that you and I have today that didn't exist before. I mean, look, I'm a creator, right? I'm a YouTuber. This didn't exist before the internet, right? The internet spawned the democratization of media. And now today, especially through the last election, you're seeing that media has gone from your NBC, ABC, who are struggling. They're being consolidated and gobbled up, to independent media like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Andrew Schultz, the Young Turks. I mean, you name it. That is what we don't know yet about what AI will create. So I'm not a doom and gloom AI guy. And I've talked to enough people. I just talked to a Silicon Valley CMO recently who has exited 3 firms, all of which were in the billions. And his words were like, anything can go wrong, anything can go bad. We are sitting in the biggest economic revolution that is about to happen in the world. It is exciting, scary for some for sure, but the way he said it was, AI essentially is going to lay fresh powder over all of the grooves that skis have gone down before, if that makes sense. Like, if you ever go skiing on a ski hill, there's all these grooves going down. So what do most of us do? Like, we follow the grooves. Like, we just kind of go with the grooves. But when there's fresh powder, you get to choose where your grooves are going to go, right? You get to be the one, the first to go and do things. AI is going to create that for all of us. So what does that have to do with this NVIDIA thing and these 3 bullets? Development of the National AI Talent Initiative, establishment of a Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence, first in the Caribbean and Central America, and launch of AI training programs. I think that the rate of change is so drastic and will be so drastic in the next 3 years that a country investing like this in educating its population around AI, educating its population on what the future is going to be, regardless of what you think the level of job or how much it pays or if it's enough or if it's not or if it's abusive or anything like that in country, is the best investment in education that this country can make. And this country does not do a great job of investing in education. It has not done a great job of investing in education. So this is a we'll see, don't get me wrong. But beyond that, for many of you watching my channel, your objective is, man, I think I want to move to DR. I want to buy and invest in DR. And many of you, like me, I might have kids, and you wonder, like, what's the future for my kids if I educate them in the Dominican Republic? The biggest question I get is, are the schools US accredited? And here's what I want to challenge you on, and this is what this deal excites me about in the Dominican Republic. If you're worried about your kids' grades, if you're worried about US accreditation and a US style curriculum, then you are hurting your children. Big, bold statement, and that's my honest and firm belief. We have all been trained, you, me, everybody else watching this, to go to school, maybe go to college, get good grades, get a good job. But when jobs are not going to be the outcome, when you're going to have a world that's going to start to rely more on entrepreneurship, on critical thinking, on innovation and creating things, because AI does that, or those have-nots that don't want that, that have more of a victim mindset, they go to more of a universal basic income government teat, let's say. When the world splits away from wages, the United States is heavily wage-based, heavily wage-based. When that diminishes and people have to be innovative or they have to be subsidized, that's going to create a massive split in the future of our societies, all of our societies. So when somebody is looking at the Dominican Republic, if the Dominican Republic is investing in what I think the future will be, which is AI-driven, which is innovation-driven, which is entrepreneurial-driven, even what I do, honestly, you guys have no idea how much intention there is around this for me. I create content because I love it. That's just full stop. I create content that I love it. And then as I analyze, like, what's the future of what I'm doing, there's a lot that I think about. I could be deep faked, and I might even deep fake myself to create more and more content. Which means what? Well, then that means that people are going to want to know when it's real and when it's not real. When it's real, there's more value to that. So how do I make it more real for people? Well, here's a few ways, and I'm doing this right now. I want to go live. If you look at my strategies right now for how to build what I'm doing, which is honestly sharing my life and experiences in this amazing country and giving all of you value, it is go live more, proof of humanity. Do this more, as opposed to just make video, post video. Don't get me wrong, I'm posting a lot of content, and I'll explain why here in a second. I'm actually going to be doubling and tripling down on how much content I'm posting in the near future, and I'll explain, again, the competitive advantage of doing so here in a moment. But with what I'm doing, I am tripling down on live. I'm tripling down on community. I have this DR Inner Circle, guys. It's low cost, high impact. Low cost, high impact. What that means is for a minimal subscription fee, people can join. We can get together live. We can get on Zooms every week. I just booked next week. I think it's an insurance broker down here that's going to talk to the Inner Circle group. The week after that, Cheryl's coming on and introducing a really cool guaranteed rental strategy for one of her projects. Cheryl Henderson's a broker with Keller Williams and owns a development company, and I've invested in her businesses. Like, this stuff is all what community is. The future is community. That's what it is. Whatever your product, your brand, your business, or whatever, it's going to be about community. So when I look at educating our kids and get a B, get a C, who cares? Can they think critically? Can they make decisions for themselves? My kid came home from school recently and he was like, the teacher said I need to wear black socks. I'm like, that is compliance. And compliance is the most dangerous thing we can do, and it's even more dangerous to teach our children. Does that make sense? I don't mean dangerous like the world's gonna end, but like dangerous as far as preparing them for the future. The current educational system is built perfectly for what the Industrial Revolution was. It created jobs, offices, factories, all of that. People had to go to those things within a certain radius in order to, within a 5-mile radius, they would attract those people. And you needed to learn how to stand up, sit down, listen to the authority, collect a wage, punch in, punch out. That's what school taught you. But when that's not available to you in the future, what are you gonna do? So to tell our kids you need to get good grades and follow this US-based curriculum, which is already 3 years behind the current curriculum. Like, they take 3 years to implement. The US Board of Education takes 3 years to implement curriculum. And in 3 years, the world is gonna look very different. So that whole system to me is just a mess. So I look at the Dominican Republic and I look at what NVIDIA is doing, Center for Excellence of Artificial Intelligence, National AI Talent Initiative. If this gets done, if this actually becomes more than a memorandum of understanding, it positions this country really well to be a tech hub. And tech is the future. Now, I'm gonna double down on this. You guys are gonna be blown away in the next few minutes. Let me know if you're still with me. If anyone is thinking I'm crazy, it's okay. I'll go get my tin hat here in a moment, but I hope this is making sense. Let me know where you are on this. Like, do I need to speed up, slow down? Are there any questions on this? Because then I'm gonna talk about why I believe the Dominican Republic is, and countries like it, are actually more prepared right now than the United States is for what is to come. Crazy as it may seem, the US being the home of technology, the most innovative country in the world, and it still will be, but the human beings existing in each of these countries, the disruption that they're gonna feel will be less here than it is there, excuse me. So let me know if I'm making sense or if you're not sure. There's a bunch of you on here, nobody's commenting, let's go. Still here says for the love of bags, you're spot on. Thank you, Soraya, good seeing you, Soraya. Who else? Who else has a thought on this? Anybody disagree? No, I don't see it. AI is not going to do anything. It's all fluff. It's the .com all over again. Junior, not the right time, Dodgers or Blue Jays. Good stuff, and I agree. Cool. All right, a few of you, if there's any other disagreement, like, let's have this discussion. This is what this is here for. All right, so let's talk about this. Wages have been, yes, Hemuel, trade school will become much more important. I agree. Electricians, surgeons, plumbers, all of this stuff is going to become much more important. And then what do you do with that? Do you build a business? How do you build a business of plumbers as opposed to just being the employee, right? So all of that stuff. But listen, if you look at the United States, it's a very wage intensive place, meaning that's how most people, and actually it's probably the biggest frustration of Americans that want to move here. It's like, I got this job making 80 grand along with thousands of other people like me in my department and or company, right? I worked for Progressive. There were 50, 60,000 employees. We would start new claims adjusters at 50 grand, right? Like that would be all of our new adjusters. Well, I'll tell you what, adjusters about to go the way of the dodo bird because AI is already taking all of that down. But anyway, so you have 50,000 of these jobs and you can, there's plentiful. Go on a job board and there's so many. And then when you come down here, it's like, I want to get a job, but it doesn't pay enough. How do people live on that, right? Because we're American culture, even if we're Dominican born. Not me, but many of you, the people that patronize my content. So If it's a heavily wage-dependent society, and if you agree with me that wages or jobs will be at least disrupted for a period of time. Now, maybe it comes back, like on the other end, AI creates other jobs, but there's gonna be a period of efficiency gains made by companies by, downsizing and leveraging technology. That's just gonna happen. And I think there's a gap in time where people are gonna be like, what do I do? And they either innovate or they go to government. That's it. They either innovate or it's universal basic income, UBI. Those are their two choices. That is extremely trying for people from the United States that are so used to how it's been forever to get a job out of college and roll along. How many of you know somebody with like multiple degrees that can't get a job? Like it's already happening. Now let's look at the Dominican Republic. Why do I think it's even better positioned? Again, if they land the education plan the right way, okay? Wages are not a feature of this society. In fact, for a lot of people who say, oh my God, they pay so little, maybe, but I still see folks locally that have the ability to consume well above what we know their salary, if you will, to be at that call center or whatever it is. So this society is built not on wages as the only or primary source of income in the household, but on multiple hustles. You got to sell something. You got to buy something. You got to trade something. You got to offer something. I mean, just a quick example. And this just came to me. When we bought our TV, we bought it from Plaza Lama or Electro Lama. They brought it to the house and we paid them to mount the TV. While here, and we were just moving in, my wife bought like all this IKEA stuff, like cabinets and all these different things. The guy was like, hey, I could put that together, I could put that together, I could put that together. I was like, where's my wallet? Here, take the whole thing. Put it all together. You guys ever do IKEA work? It freaking sucks. So this guy saw an opportunity to add more value and therefore extract more value back. And he did a great job. We called him again when we had to mount some shelves in a concrete wall. I don't have those tools here. Even if I did, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm like, I have to make content because I don't know how to do any plumbing, even though my dad's a plumber. I grew up with a plumber and I learned nothing. But anyway, he came back and mounted shelves. He had all the tools to like drill into the concrete and do all of that stuff. We're moving to another house. We just closed on the mortgage. Soon we should have our keys. Who do you think I'm calling? The moment we go in there with the need to, whatever my wife buys that has to be put together, which by the way, I'm a big fan of IKEA. People want to know, where do I buy furniture? Just buy it at IKEA. This environment, like all the humidity is going to rot out your furniture anyway. Just get the best stuff you can get for the least money and roll, right? But anyway, I'm going back to that guy. We're going to call him and he's going to come in and do it. Like that's the mindset here. It already is innovation. It already is entrepreneurial. And the other side of that is if you don't in the United States become entrepreneurial, I think most of us agree, there's already a push for UBI. There's already a push for, well, the government will support me. The government supports already 15% of the US population. May not be a great wage or a great amount of money, but it supports them. Food stamps, all of that. And that's fine. I don't care one way or the other on this for this topic. That doesn't exist here. I mean, SENASA, the insurance, like the Medicare for Dominicans, I mean, that just was like exposed as a scandal. I mean, so is Medicare in many ways, but the point is like that doesn't exist here. So people here either innovate or die. I said this 2 years ago. You can go back and watch videos I did on Instagram where I said, you know what I love about this society is, and it's not perfect. Somebody's gonna be like, yeah, you say that because you make good money in US dollars. Just shut up. What I love about the society is that entrepreneurship here is survival. If I'm a 9-year-old, and I'm not happy about this, but this is true, it's just a reality. If I'm a 9-year-old whose parents don't make a lot of money or who's single mom and they, can't go to school every day because they just they gotta eat, they go out and they get a soap bucket, a sprayer, a rag, and they're washing windows at the stoplights. Makes us sad. My wife and I have talked many times about adopting every one of these kids, but it's innovative. Like that kid has skills that will take him further. The surgeon I talked about that grew up in Alto Mayor that had to sell chickens just to live with his family up there in the 1970s. Dude knew when he moved to the United States, he was telling me stories. When he moved to the United States, he saw junk cars and figured out at like 12, wait a minute, can we buy those? Because I can trade those. And dude was just tuned in entrepreneurially and he's had a great life as a result. That is where I see if this education around AI lands, if you decide you're going to move your kids down here, and I'm going to feature a school down here that I think is doing really interesting stuff soon on YouTube. But if you moved your kids down here and you're like, I'm afraid that they're not going to get a US style education, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going the other way. I'm afraid that they are getting a US style education because that trains them for jobs that won't exist in the future. Compliance is death. But if they land this education thing and you watching this have the ability to move your children here and you're dollarized, good, bad, or otherwise, where you can put your kids in a private school and you get to choose which school that is and what their curriculum is and how they educate your kids, it doesn't matter where they're going to live in the future. The future becomes geographically irrelevant. I mean, look at me. Granted, it's content, but I can build an empire with me an editor, and I'm maybe like a social media manager. Like maybe that's it. Me an editor, and I love my editor, and a social media manager, which I don't even have, right? It's just me and him right now. We can grow an empire together thanks to AI. And if this country or this government decided that, they don't want me here anymore, like I can pick up my laptop and go. There's gonna be a lot more of that in the future thanks to AI. And I think we have to prepare our families and our kids for it. This NVIDIA deal with the Dominican government, to me, I think it's big. Somebody asked a question on Instagram. I don't know the answer, but I'm just gonna speculate. They asked, where do you see this, like physically, impacting DR the most? I think this goes into, I think Santiago's got a big leg up on this. I think Santiago, anything technology related, anything manufacturing around technology, anything, I think Santiago is well positioned. Santiago has an incredible medical infrastructure. Santiago has a very modern layout to that city, and they're only getting more and more and more developed. And now there was just an announcement yesterday that all go on the Ambar Highway, 30 minutes to the beach. So that takes away always my concern about Santiago, which is that it's too landlocked and there's not beach access. Now you got a 30-minute drive, essentially. That's way faster. So I think Santiago has potential. I think Punta Cana has massive potential. In fact, what they're building, the logistic hub behind the airport right now, I mean, massive potential. Not only for jobs, wages, movement here, but also for investors looking to buy affordable housing in the Verón, that area of Punta Cana, and rent to middle-income workers with a suite on their apartment or their house that has room for a cleaning lady, because middle-income people here still have a cleaning lady. All of that is what's possible here. Santo Domingo will always win, in my opinion. It's just too important a city to the country. It's a port city. There's a ton of industrial space there for any kind of microchip manufacturing and all of that good stuff, all of that. So those are the things to me that this deal does. I think this gives the Dominican Republic a violent shove forward if it gets signed and put through and it's handled correctly. I know that's a big if, and I believe that the Dominican culture and the way people have to exist here aligns much better with where all of this is going anyway. AI, education, all of it. That's my thesis. That's my take. Let me see what the questions are here. The partnership deal with DR signed with Purdue University, a global leader in semiconductor technology. Before I finish this, I kept saying University of Cincinnati for some reason on this like a year ago. I don't know why, but it is Purdue. So thank you for that, Albert. Has already provided the country with a significant head start with AI. True. And I want to talk about implementation, because I know that's the biggest concern. They'll just fumble it like they do everything else. That's kind of the naysayers' take on it. And even very well-educated people that I know say the same thing. They just don't trust it, but I'm going to talk about that. How is the ambulance business in the DR? It's funny, Mark, not funny, but interesting. 911 exists. Ambulances are around, and there's a lot of modern ambulances, but I don't know. I've never, thankfully, been in one. I have a friend locally that did have to call an ambulance. They were there within 10 minutes. They picked him up, brought him to the hospital. He was all good. I think he was having a heart issue. I don't know the training of the paramedics. I have no idea that are in those ambulances. I don't know how well trained they are, other than pop an IV and get them there. Jay abroad, he got into an ambulance that was very small, and he was kind of packed in there when he was having an issue. He shared it on his channel with some bad supplements that he ordered off of Amazon. So be careful what you order off of Amazon. It's an interesting question, Mark, but here's what I would say. I was exchanging a DM with somebody on Instagram this morning who asked a question like this, what is the business opportunity there? And I said this to them, and I'll say it to you, and I like this about the country, but it can be frustrating as well. This is very much a who you know country from a business perspective. The opportunity that you might have, you need to do that from within, not from outside. So you could be the greatest ambulance operator in the world, and you might have a very clear business plan and an ability to come in here and do incredible things. But what I would say is hold that plan. Don't try to implement it on your way in. Don't parachute in with it. Come here quietly, interact sort of laterally. Let those interactions build you bigger interactions. And then with the right people in place after whatever it is, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it might be, only at that point do you introduce an idea and a concept. because there's a lot of gatekeepers in this country, and you got to kind of knock those gates down in order to thrive. That's what I'm learning about business in the Dominican Republic. I'd love to hear if anybody disagrees and your take on it. I'm not saying I'm right. That's my take. Compliance is death. True. Yeah. For the love of bags, I agree. True about survival in DR. The partnership with NVIDIA is essential for remaining competitive in attracting investment to the country. Otherwise, we risk being left behind. Agreed. I can tell you guys without getting into too many details, because this stuff isn't public, but again, who you know, right? Who you interact with. And I've been very fortunate to have this brand, and it gets me into rooms that I probably shouldn't be in. And it gets me into rooms speaking in Spanish that I don't always understand. I'll share a little funny thing on that in a second here. But one of the things I know is that there has been a commissioning of some extremely interesting, important, and accomplished people that are of high ethics, high moral code, in order to take this country from, what would it be, like developing to developed over the next decade, leveraging tourism, leveraging infrastructure, leveraging microchip, leveraging a deal like this. My confidence on this getting more traction than many skeptics may think is higher. I'm not saying I'm fully confident, but this NVIDIA deal with the Dominican Republic, I think, will prove to be a game changer in the near future. So we shall see. Here's the quick story I'll share. I went to a sargasm conference with all these scientists and everything. I was invited, like, hey, if you want to come check it out, again, influential friend. So I'm in the room and I'm listening to what they're saying, and this is what I do for the inner circle. I go into our WhatsApp chat group. We have multiple WhatsApp chat groups, and I'm like live chatting, almost like live tweeting to them, like what I'm learning. Like, hey, I just heard this. Like literally the guy inside only communicating with these people in this amazing community that we created. And I said in there at one point about sargasm, some of the top people said in Spanish, they said, my friends on the North Shore are saying, oh, well, it's not a problem for us. It's never going to be a problem for us. And the way he replied was something like, he started with amigos and then said something and went through it. And I was listening and I was like, ooh, he just dropped like a bar on, you just got to give it a year or two. And there's reasons for that. If you guys have questions on why the North Shore will be impacted by sargasm, I'm happy to share what I learned. But I chatted and they're like, they just said the North Shore will be impacted without intervention. I said, they either said that or they said that Cinnabon is coming to every airport in the Dominican Republic, but either way, it's good news. Either way, it's good news, but that's my Spanish comprehension. I understand more than I speak, so that is that. The ambulance service in DR is straightforward. If you're in a high-income area, the response time is quick. However, if you're in a low-income area, it can take a significant amount of time. That's fair, Albert. What is your take on the assessment of the international institutions? They estimate that DR will be a first world country within a decade. It's hard to know, Raphael, but like what I've seen recently that I can't share publicly, it gives me more confidence than maybe even 3 months ago or 6 months ago that it will be. Like I would have said in the next 20 to 30 years, I have high confidence, but within a decade, my confidence is growing, but we'll see. We'll see. Elder can't transport for medical appointments. So I read a lot of issues with AI as the power consumption that would be required. Yeah, Hemuel, so yes. And here's the other thing, I want to frame this and then I'll explain some things that I've seen. It's a problem if you don't have power. And I think the implication in that statement is, hey, DR power grid isn't the best. A year ago, Abinader, I always say his name wrong, Abinader announced that, hey, we're going to have energy independence and we're going to sell it to Puerto Rico. And people laughed at him. And I get why, right? They've been saying energy independence for years. And if you guys have been around this and have studied this longer than I have, you know that discussion has been out there for a long time. But here's what I want to ask you. NVIDIA is the most valuable country in the world. They are getting ready to invest significant resources into the most powerful and valuable company in the world. They're getting ready to invest significant resources, money, everything into the Dominican Republic. They had the choice to go wherever they wanted. Remember I said, first in the Caribbean, first in Latin America, what did I say? First in the Caribbean, first in Central America. Central America, there's a lot in Central America, Caribbean. There's Costa Rica, there's Panama, there's all of that, right? There's Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory. There's plenty of that. They chose the Dominican Republic. I would think that part of this discussion has to be, hey, we are confident, if you're all in connection, all your connection? Oh, okay, all your connection. I thought my connection was bad. That they are confident in whatever they're hearing or seeing from the Dominican government about the future of energy here. I gotta believe that. What I refuse to believe is some NVIDIA executive said, choose, find the place. And they said, well, DR is the cheapest. Well, they don't have electricity. Who cares? Or, oh, I'm sure it's fine. It'll be good. They'll figure it out. I don't see it. As a guy that was high up in a corporation, man, we scrutinize every dollar. Sometimes to the point where like, guys, we just made like $50 billion this year. And we're talking about $8 line items here. Yeah, but 1,000 of them, like $8,000. Like that is like me pulling out a quarter of a penny. I don't know, even less than that. You know what I mean? Like the equivalent is insane. I really doubt NVIDIA is going to invest and sign this memorandum and everything without assurances or confidence in some way that there's investment in the grid. So that's my first thought. That's the framing I want to give you. Now let's talk about the what I see. In San Pedro, I can't remember the name of the facility, but they are doubling and tripling the capacity of that facility right now. There is solar farms that have been live and are currently plugging energy back into the grid. None of this is enough yet, but that is there. At this Sargasm conference, I met multiple entrepreneurs who are in the process of, or they have developed, they're in the process of partnering in order to extract and convert sargassum to biofuel. That biofuel creates energy, and it would first be home here. I walked through a lab built by these German scientists that were here who are interested in sargassum for themselves and for here, but they literally funded a lab here in Punta Cana. I walked into it. I shared it with the Inner Circle. Guys, if you're not in the Inner Circle, just freaking join. I do so much stuff with that community. I love doing it. It's worth your $9 a month, or you can pay the annual at 90 or whatever. But that group, or that lab is literally there to figure out the most effective way to harvest, preserve, pulverize, I guess, sargassum, and then convert it to biofuel. That biofuel could, and I asked a few of these people, like, give me the estimate, like the sargassum that can be extracted in the Dominican Republic waters, that could fuel what for how long? And I'm thinking it'd be like, oh, you could fuel the Dominican Republic for a year. Like, oh, that'd be amazing. And they're like, oh God, I mean, it sounded like, they're like, I don't want to make a commitment here, but it's like the world forever. Like just the sargassum that's available in the Caribbean could fuel like the world for years if it's extracted annually and it's harvested properly. Again, I'm not an expert, just telling you what I got. So that's another aspect of energy. So that point about in order for AI to thrive, you're going to need the energy to do that. Completely correct, completely agree. It's insufficient now, but his Abinader's 3-year projection on energy, not looking so crazy all of a sudden. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe the country just goes the exact opposite way. NVIDIA pulls out and none of this is for anything. But I don't know. I'm getting the impression that that's not going to be the case. I did see some sawgrass by eBay, so I don't know what they are talking about. They have none down there. It eventually will be a problem for everyone. Yeah, so I'll give you this real quick on sargassum. The reason why it'll be, people say like, oh, no, it's in these different currents. Yeah. The issue with sargassum, as I've learned, is in the sargassum sea, you've got this stuff that creates a layer of protection for sea life there. At a certain point, through nitrate introduction into the ocean or whatever, seed stock from sargassum got into a broader pattern in the ocean, right? And then as it gets into warmer water like the Caribbean, along with the nitrates and the heat, it's just perfect for production of sargassum. So you're right now, the North Shore, the way the currents go, it's not in it. But every year it's nearly doubling. It doesn't double in the same currents. Some of the seed leaves. So imagine like two currents going like this. This one has sargassum, this one doesn't. Imagine a little bit of seed floats over to this one and then grows. So it's just, according to what I heard, a matter of time before the currents all catch this and we're all dealing with this every summer. And I do believe that at some point there will be mitigation, removal, and use as biofuel. But in the next couple of years, tourism is going to be impacted because it's going to hit everywhere. It's not going to get better before it gets worse, or it's going to get worse before it gets better. So that is my take on that. What else do we got here? I did see by eBay the best aspect of the NVIDIA partnership. We talked about that. It's all your connections agreed. The ambulance service is straightforward. We talked about that. Take on the international institutions, elder care transport, power issues, partnership with Purdue. All right, I think I hit most of these questions. What's your thought on co-ownership model for buying a house in DR? The co-ownership model. I don't know if I call that something different. Can you explain that a little bit? Saad, I guess is the name. The wife and I will be visiting next weekend, and I will be joining the Inner Circle today. Oh, amazing. EDub, VHA, welcome. Glad to have you. I think it's been so much fun interacting with people, bringing like my connections into these Zoom calls or just me doing Q&A. My wife, I got to get her in there to do some, and then meeting people in person, and we do some bonus content. We have a whole vault that people can go into and see all the recordings if they can't make the live stuff. Like we had a member last week come on. I'll give you something groundbreaking that she shared. A member came on the other day, and we were talking about mortgage or buying real estate and mortgages and all of that stuff. And she's purchased 8 properties and she flips them. So she buys them pre-construction really cheap, has a set of criteria that are awesome. She went through every piece of criteria to make sure she doesn't get screwed. It was great. And then she flips them before she owes, she has to buy them outright. So she pays the 40, 50% over the term of the build. And then like a few months before it's fully built and she has to take possession, she sells it to somebody else for double. That's been her process and she's done it well. But she shared, she's like, you know what I do? Rather than, I'm gonna give you a great hack here, and it's hers, not mine. Rather than go to a bank for a loan, she goes, CDs here have great rates. So I get a CD, I'll get like 5, 6%, whatever it is, on that CD. So as I flip a property, I take the money, I drop it in a CD. That's gonna build a 5, 6%, but then I can borrow against it at the rate of return plus 3%. So I'm getting 5%, I could borrow against it at 8%. The mortgage I just got is 9.5, and that's a decent rate in US dollars. So to borrow against yourself, not have to deal with the bank, and do it for less than what the bank would offer is pretty smart. So there's a little hack for all of you. Don't ask me where. She's a fan of Banco Lopez de Auto. That's where she talked about. I don't know if that's where she buys her CDs, but it's her strategy, not mine. But I thought that was really interesting. So co-ownership is sometimes advertised as an affordable way to buy a house. You own a percentage of the house, you own it for a period of time each. Oh, okay. I don't love the model, Saad. I don't love the model. It feels timeshare to me. I don't love the model. I'll just leave it at that. Top 3 inner circle meetup moments. Oh, I'll tell you, Dano. I'll tell you. Last night when we met. So, well, one was that, Stephanie sharing her strategy. That was this week. So that was one really cool thing. A second one was, yeah, Teresa, that's old school timeshare, exactly. A second one was last night talking to a guy who is flipping motorcycles in the most interesting way in the world. I'm not gonna share it because I think he's very innovative with what he's doing, and I think he deserves to keep that private. He shared it with me. Amazing strategy, but 26-year-old dude, young, smart, figured out a way to kind of like build remote businesses, but then he, being a smart, innovative Dominican guy, figured out like, oh, I can do something really interesting with like motorcycles and 4-wheelers and golf carts and all of that. Very profitable ventures, fascinating. So that was a second very interesting thing. And then I would say the third highlight was there's a gentleman in this group that drove down from Santiago yesterday. He flew into Santiago. He has a child with special needs. Santiago has a specialist there that's like tops in the world. So he flew there specifically to meet with that specialist. Guys, this country it's come a long way. And in the 15 years I've been coming here, come a long way. I was just talking to a friend the other day about like, Ben, I remember 2012, 2013, like it was a scary place to me. Now, granted, I was, whatever, but it didn't feel comfortable to get around, right? Like it was just like, why'd the road just end? Why is that dude over there with a shotgun, right? Like what the hell's going on right now? Come a long, long way from that time. How come I can't take a highway to places? Like, anyway, this gentleman came down to Santiago to meet the specialist, and then he came to Punta Cana, part of the inner circle, to meet me and meet the other inner circle members, which was extremely humbling, especially last night. We had this, let's stop right now, but you had Tropical Storm Melissa rolling through, and he's driving from Santiago through Santo Domingo and over. He said there was no traffic in Santo Domingo, which was awesome. I can only imagine, but you get the point. The highlight for me was once he got down here, getting to talk to him and learn from him and hear what he had to say. It was really, really fascinating. And he was extremely complimentary, which was humbling for me. He's used a lot of the resources I talk about. And I said, man, I'll tell you, that's like exciting for me. And it also keeps me up at night. I'm always thinking like, I hope these people that have worked for me and I recommend to others, I hope they do well by everybody forever. Like I hate when that doesn't happen, or if that doesn't happen. I've had one experience with it, and that person, I've been like making sure I stay with her. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, let's make sure you get the right experience out of something. But anyway, that was extremely memorable. Those are my top 3 moments for the inner circle. People from other Central American Caribbean countries were laughing when the Dominican Republic signed a partnership with Purdue University. No, I'll bet they're not laughing now. You're absolutely right, Albert, for sure. All right, what questions might you have? I'm going to see if I can pull up the questions I got on Instagram. Let's see if I can get these. It's not letting me there. Hold on, and we'll see if we can get this. Insta, I can't, it's not in my, no. Oh, you know what? No, never mind, I don't have it. There were questions I got on Instagram that I could answer as well, but I want to answer your questions. Let me go back over here. It might be easier for me to look at the questions that people have down here. So the timeshare thing we talked about, I don't like it. And that's my take on all things happening with the NVIDIA deal and where I see the future going. We had a really great discussion on education for the future. So I hope that was helpful for all of you. I'm curious, how crazy do you think I am on the education part? Like, I think forget grades, stop teaching your kids how to comply, stop teaching them how to get jobs. I think that's the worst thing we can do for our kids in this day and age. Do you guys agree, disagree? Do you think it's too soon? Like, nah, that's like 10, 15 years. I think it's like now. We have to teach our kids, we have to not beat innovation and creativity out of our kids. We have to keep them in that creative mindset when they're 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. We can't beat that out of them. I don't see the Stephanie Zoom call in the vault, bro. Okay, Hemuel, I'll double check on that as soon as we get off of this, and I'll put a note in the group. I was told it was uploaded, but let me double check on that. You just had your website, jamiegruber.com. You go there and you can see all the stuff on the inner circle. That might be helpful. But what do you guys think? Am I nuts to think that we need to? Soraya is saying agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're in a really fun, interesting, incredible time. I think there's a lot of risk, of course, that comes along with that as well. But if any of you have kids or grandkids, the idea of treating them the same as you or I have been treated, I don't mean treating them the same as far as their development as we went through, as what we did. Like, doing it the way we did it is just not going to be beneficial long-term for anybody. That's my take on it. So be curious to hear all of your thoughts. Let me give you a little preview of what's coming up on the channel. Maybe that'll prompt a question too. If not, we'll get out of here. Latimar. I just went and visited Latimar about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Did a whole video tour of it, did a whole deep dive. I got a kind of an exclusive tour with the director of expansion. I also know the CEO of the Latimar project. So those guys gave me some really cool access. Did a whole video on it. A lot of you asked about Latimar City. I went and visited it. Really interesting. That'll drop on Sunday. I did a full video on my lessons from getting a mortgage, including every document that I needed to give to the bank. And to be honest with you, how easy it was. It took me 48 days from the time it took me 48 days to get a mortgage from the time that I did one certain thing to the time that I got the mortgage. 48 days, not even got the mortgage, closed on it. From the contact with this key individual to the closing was 48 days. Unbelievable. So the title of that video is something along the lines of getting mortgages in DR is easy, because once I did this thing, it became stupid easy. Stupid easy. Before that, it was harder than stone to do anything. So that's coming up. What's the other video that I had filmed? Oh, there's a video on the business that I invested in. I bought a studio, a podcast photo studio. And I went through all the numbers, what it looks like, the structure, why I bought it, all of that. That's a video that's coming out. So like I said, I'm trying to double and triple down on my content. And you know what? I'm going to give you guys this on AI here in a second, but let me answer these questions on why I'm doubling and tripling down on my content. I don't think you're nuts. For our kids to truly succeed, we need to change who it was when we grew up, or how it was when we were growing up, maybe. Agree, processing work is going to get done by AI and machines, 100%. If you want to make money, you will need to create something. I agree, you can't be competitive with just good grades. Yeah, I just think the whole system is like, it's got to be reinvented, reimagined. It needs to be different. Accreditation needs to look very different going forward. So let me give you this on AI. So this is really interesting to me, and I'll share this with you guys. That it's something I'm working on, something I believe in, and it may or may not resonate with some of you. But we're in an era with AI chats like ChatGPT and Gemini and all of that stuff, and especially now with Alpha. If you guys haven't seen the announcement of Alpha coming out, ChatGPT's internet browser, like Google just died. Like in a day, Google died. Their search functionality and integration with their AI, it's just, you got to go to Google or Gemini. Alpha does it all. It's got it all in one, and you all know this. One step, Amazon Buy Now was a game changer for Amazon. Like 2 steps is too much, 1 step is what we want. So anyway, if you look at what AI is right now, it is 800 million, active users per week on ChatGPT, 20 million paid. OpenAI is not making money. They're raising a bunch of money. They're an extremely valuable company, but they're not making money. Google wasn't making money with search until they did one thing. That one thing is AdSense. selling ads, sponsored content. Before that, before Google sold ads, everything was keyword, everything was SEO. If you had a website, if you had any level of content, whatever that might have been prior to social media, blogs, books, you name it, SEO would determine, based on your search in Google, what ranked. This is number one, this is number two, this is number three. And later, when they started sponsoring ads, that went away. You could just buy your way to the top. And then it jumped the shark a bit because a lot of us skip the sponsored stuff and go to the first organic finding. But here's the thing. When you search in Google, when you go in Google search, you might search like best Dominican Republic place to move, right? That might be what you search. That's what you get. And then based on all these little keywords, it gives you a ranking, 1 through 10. All of that from keywords placed on websites. Now let's flash forward to where we are right now, OpenAI, the AI models. It will need to go to paid. You will need paid sponsorship at one point in the future, but it's not now. So what does that mean? If you think about how you search ChatGPT, as opposed to Google, you search much more robustly, right? So if you search best place to live in Dominican Republic on YouTube, on Google, on ChatGPT, you might say, I have a family with kids under 10, 2 kids under 10. We're thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic. I want to know what the best areas are to make sure we get good education that has the highest safety ratings and, values of houses between $200,000 and $400,000, right? Like that's how you search in ChatGPT, which means ChatGPT is going to return information to you based on what they find out there. It's not enough to be just a keyword here or there like we used to with Google. There needs to be much more robust, much more AI-friendly language out there in the atmosphere, in the world, on the internet, in order for you to rank with whatever it is. You have a plumbing business, you're a guy that talks about living in the Dominican Republic, whatever it might be. So for me, because AI can not only read the keywords on a website, but can also read all of the transcripts of everything that you put out there everywhere, especially now in alpha, it's incredible what it can do. The more content that I put out within the niche of guy who talks about moving to the Dominican Republic or investing in the Dominican Republic, the more content I put out, the more AI picks up those key phrases. So when you search a robust thing about the Dominican Republic, I want to know the best place to visit, if it's going to be here, blah, 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 all that stuff, I'm going to rank. And I got a 3-year window or 2-year window before OpenAI starts selling ads to rank, where I can rank organically. So my business, my model, as I move here, I still have my US-based businesses, that's my source of income, but I love what I'm doing and I'm learning so much being a creator, and I appreciate all of you that patronize my content, that join the inner circle. It does help me financially, it helps me do more of this, but I put myself out there more and more. I want to do 3, 4, 5 YouTube videos a week. I want to do 3, 4 Instagram, TikTok posts a day. I want to do 2, 3, 4 LinkedIn written posts per week, all of that, because I need to sort of flood the zone within my narrow niche to make sure when you search robustly, I rank. That's what AI is. That's the future of AI. If you're starting a business today and you're like, I don't know what it's going to be, but I want to start a business selling, microphones, a little Hollyland microphone, right? There you go. That's the microphone set up in there. And you got to be more specific. You want to sell those microphones to, creators in the Caribbean, for whatever reason, and male creators in the Caribbean. Like the more narrow you are, the more of a category king you are, the better. Then everything you do now organically should be content aimed at that audience with information that that audience would want to digest. I live in the Caribbean, I want a microphone. I don't know why that's the thing, but you get my point, right? Like you got to niche down. It can't just be, I'm an ambulance provider. It can't just be, I'm a content creator. It can't just be, I'm a plumber. It's got to be like, I'm a plumber in, Linwood, New Jersey, that caters to 200,000 plus a year households or $1 million plus value homes, all of that, so on, so on, so on. Dan, it does make sense. It does make sense. So the more niche you get, the more you create your little slice of a category, which is going to be the case. People think, oh, social media is oversaturated. Oversaturated. It is for general content. It's not for specific content, and it could never, ever be saturated for specific content. There's categories. If you want to talk about pizza, it's a big deal. It's a lot of stuff. Pizza in Dominican Republic, that's a category within that category. How about Detroit-style pizza in Dominican Republic? There's one guy. He owns that category. It's really good pizza, really good desserts in Santo Domingo. So he is doing really well because he's the Detroit-style pizza in the Dominican Republic, specific niche. If he was to get on the content creation engine and flood the zone on Detroit-style pizza in DR, show people how to make it, show people what they can do for their desserts, how they can do this at home, whatever, that would be for him the ability for him to be a unique player and searchable and get be the person that returns on broad-based searches that narrow in on like this guy. You want a unique pizza experience in Santo Domingo? Here you go. He doesn't need the millions. He needs 2,000 people a month, maybe less than that, to do really well. Open a second one in Punta Cana, so on and so forth. That's AI, guys. That's AI. So let me see some of the comments. I'm simply the best. Thank you, Ricardo. I appreciate it. Yeah, hit the like button if that made sense to you. Hit the like button. Hopefully that was just like free education on how to get your brand, your business, your company, your personal brand, whatever, out there. Hit that like button. It gives this a little bit more reach, and I think people get value from it. If you got value. If you didn't get value, just say, nah, I'm not hitting any like button there, gringo. Boom goes the dynamite, says Soraya. I appreciate that. And Dan says, wow, makes 100% sense. I love that. Ricardo gave me a high five. I think it's a high five. A little pink-handed high five. I 100% think the education system is not geared toward what the current needs are in society. My 15-year-old twins are learning pre-calculus in school in grade 10. They are never, ever, you didn't finish that or did you, ever gonna use it? Yeah, you did right below that. You're never gonna use it. I completely agree. Dan, I study this stuff constantly. This is what I do, guys. Like I study, I look at and figure out what's going on in DR. I reach out to key contacts. Those contacts give me other contacts. I bring to you what I can without violating their trust. So I'll be honest with you, when I get pushback on some stuff, it's not that I'm always right, not at all, but like, it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I didn't come at the surface with this. Like, I'm down here and you just gave me a surface level pushback. Like, I want pushback. I want my ideas challenged, but they gotta be with an assumption like, all right, this guy didn't just like read an article and post this. Like, he's done a little bit of work here. So let me do a little work and then challenge what he's saying. Please do. Please do. I need to learn. I like to learn more. Detroit pizza. Yeah, Detroit pizza every day in, I don't know if it's Naco Piantini. It's on Avenida Gonzalo? I can't remember the road. But look it up. Detroit Pizza every day. Raul, oh, I'm gonna forget his name. He's become a friend. We text and chit chat every so often. But that place has really good pizza. Get the Maria 2.0. The Maria 2.0. It's like a Detroit style pizza with spicy honey and a burrata ball in the middle of it. You break that cheese and it melts all. Oh, it's so good. And then for dessert, you have to get their cookie. It's this giant cookie with chocolate and chocolate whoppers in it and ice cream and so go there and get those two things. Whatever he wants to charge you, just pay it. Trust me on that one. I will say, best pizza that there is in the Dominican Republic is very clear. I did a full video on this. Anybody know? The best pizza in the Dominican Republic, like just hands down best pizza. If anybody knows what that is, drop it in the comments down below or give me a like. Best pizza in the Dominican Republic. Some of the best pizza I've ever had, to be honest with you. Not in New York. It would be competitive. It would last in New York. It would do fine in New York. It wouldn't be like, oh, this would be the best pizza in New York. No. I don't know what that is, but I'm a New Yorker. I know pizza. But what do you think the best pizza place in the Dominican Republic is? Drop that down in the comments. I'd like to see that. I'd like to know where you think the best pizza is. Let me see what other comments you guys have while you guys are thinking about that. Are you tracking Alpha Schools? Society Lounge, I am. Alpha Schools, I actually wanted to reach out and see about doing one here. The issue with them is they're extremely expensive. They're not ready. Even though there's money here, like people aren't ready to pay $65,000 a year for Alpha School, but it is interesting. The only issue I have with Alpha School is they may be like one iteration too far right now. Alpha School is educating in AI, meaning like the AI is the educator to a point from what I've read and what I've learned about them. I think that's like AI is not ready for that yet, right? Like I'm worried about what AI is teaching or guiding. I haven't seen what they do. Maybe it's really well controlled, but Alpha School is a very interesting concept. Austin, San Fran, in Virginia, I think I saw in DC, it was like 70 grand for one kid for the year. But think about that. Who's gonna pay that, right? If AI is not the future, if the world isn't about to change in the next 3 years, Why would Alpha School be able to charge $70,000? Who's going to pay that? Who's going to pay that? Only the people at the tippy top who know. They're in the rooms that none of us are in. They know, like, let me position my kid a little bit more aggressively toward the AI future that we're about to go into. Punto Italia, Dolce, and Curcio. Have I been to Curcio? Did I go to Curcio? I might have gone to Curcio in my YouTube video, but no, none of those are the best. None of those are the best. I'll tell you, because none of you guys are reacting here. I know what's going on. There's 100 of you here, but none of you are commenting. The best pizza in the Dominican Republic is Il Caminetto. Il Caminetto in Santo Domingo. Just go there. Just go there. I don't care where else you're from, where else you've been. I don't care if I haven't tried another pizza in the country. It doesn't matter. It is the best pizza in the country. But I really like Detroit pizza as well. One location for a good pizza is Antojitos in Constanza. But I don't know if you will go. I'll go. I'm going to be in Constanza at some point in the near future to do a grub with Gruber. So I'm looking for that. Curcio. That's the one I've been to, Alexander. I'm 99% positive that was the one that Jay loved, and we went to the third one. Curcio or Caruso? Might have been Caruso that we went to. That might have been it. How do you get your license in the Dominican Republic if you were there on a tourist visa and are not a resident? What bank do you recommend for an American account that does not have international ATM fees? International fees, no. I mean, Scotia maybe, but like with the Bank of America account, I know that in country, JMMB doesn't, I just learned this, doesn't have ATM fees in country, but I'm sure you'd have an international withdrawal fee, so I'll give you that. As far as getting a license, my wife you can go to, I think, Santo Domingo to get your U.S. license converted, or use it to get yourself a Dominican license. But it's a process. My wife is finding it easier just to go to Higüey. She's doing that soon, to go to Higüey and just get a license. Like, to be clear, we leave too frequently, so we haven't been here like past the timeline that you're supposed to have a license, but we're going to be for the next few months. So she's going to Higüey to take like the road test and just get the license. So that's another way, but I don't know if you don't have a cedula, if you can do that. So it might be best that you have to go to the embassy in Santo Domingo for the United States, if that's where you're from, and do it that way. Can't remember the name of the place, but probably the best pizza I ever had was in Jarabacoa. Interesting. It's good to know. I love Jarabacoa, as many of you know, so that might be a spot. Is there another one? How to get your license? That was B. Lawson. You're absolutely right on education. I use Schwab and do not need an investment account. There you go, Javier. I love it. Educating all of us. Appreciate that, Javier. So we have a Bank of America account, we have a Scotiabank account, and a JMMB account now. So Bank of America, we do everything in the U.S. with that, and most of our stuff is through the U.S. When we need money, we just wire it down. You can use Wise or whatever. We just wire it. We pay the $40 or whatever and wire the money down, because we do it in chunks into our Scotiabank account. And then anything here that we need to do, we can just like transfer from Scotiabank. It comes into a US dollar account. We actually withdraw it. We go to currency exchange place, exchange it and redeposit it in our peso account. And then my wife uses that to like pay the cleaning lady or whatever. So that's the other thing that we can do. Thank you, Javier. What type of account do you have with them? Not an investment account, whatever that's worth. So hopefully that's helpful. Cool. All right, it's 1:20 Eastern. I think that's enough for all of you. This is going to be on replay, so there'll be a video that pops up here that everybody can watch. Every Friday I'll be here. My ask of you, come on back. If you're not part of the inner circle, just check out the link at the very top of this video, at the top of any of my videos. I'm really trying to grow that. I really am. I think it does a few things. It helps people interact with other people that are living or moving here. It gives free content, not free, but bonus content to people that want more. And it gets you the connections that you're really looking for. It's low cost, and honestly, for me, it allows me to pivot more and more toward serving all of you and away from maybe some of the other things that I'm doing to secure and support my family. So if it's worth it to you, take a look at it. I appreciate all of you. Edub, that was a great insight on the future of AI, especially for content creators. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Aside from the brokerage business, they have a big bank business as well. So it's a regular checking account with Schwab Bank. There's the answer on that. Okay, the video's here now. Now it's going to be here. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining me. See you next week.